Hey everybody, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Today I'm going to review the Zenith Defy Skyline Black Ceramic, which as the name implies is the black ceramic version of the Defy Skyline. The Defy Skyline is a collection that mostly comes in steel and is a popular product for Zenith for good reason. It's an interesting watch. It's trying to be a few things at the same time. And I'd say the most interesting thing about the watch is how well it is trying to do all those things. It's not really a sports watch. It's not really a dress watch. It's sort of somewhere in the middle, trying to do a lot of things. The most important thing to say about the watch in terms of its appeal is it's trying to be a black ceramic version of the integrated bracelet watch. Very, of course, Gerald Genta-esque. This is Zenith's version, of the Royal Oak. There's no real dancing around that fact. That's exactly what's going on here. It has its own little twist. It's actually much better priced with an interesting movement. So other than being sort of a, hey, we wanted to have a watch like that as well, Zenith is bringing a lot to the table here, which is why I think that you should be so enthusiastic about the Defy Skyline. And if you are curious about an all ceramic watch with a matching bracelet, this is definitely a timepiece for you, especially because for the price point, there really aren't that many watches that have full ceramic bracelets with this level of detail that are much less, maybe from smaller brands, but in the big leagues, this represents a good value. The watch case is 41 millimeters wide, which is definitely not on the huge side, but you can see that this is a watch that wears with bold proportions, but I do appreciate that at 41 millimeters wide, it's sort of a good universal size that works well. If you just want to wear it on the rubber strap and you're a bit too squeamish about wearing it on a ceramic bracelet that you feel might break or crack, I don't blame you. That is sort of a legitimate concern. Handsome timepiece, 100 meters of water resistance, which doesn't sound like much, but again, this is a black ceramic watch, and you don't have such high levels of water resistance normally with ceramic because you can't shut the case together in the way that you can with metal, because the screws, for example, that are tightened that hard would break. So I'm not really sure exactly what Zenith's solution was here. You can see that they use different types of screws. These aren't sort of your normal flathead screws or Phillips head screws. So there might be a very special way that they're using to attach it. The movement is an El Primero. It's 5 hertz and it's got some silicone in there. You can probably see a little bit of that purple reflectivity in the escapement. The movement is, of course, visible, and that star-shaped automatic rotor there. The movement's interesting because it's sort of a look-at-me movement. It's got some fun things going on, but from a utility perspective, it's definitely not their most tool watch El Primero, which would be, a chronograph. This movement tells the time with hours and minutes and the date. But it has, rather than a traditional seconds hand, it has a seconds hand that goes around once every 10 seconds, and that's related to the 5 hertz operational frequency of the movement, where you could have a 1/10 of a second chronograph hand. What they sort of did is turn that into a subsidiary seconds hand. So this is like, in a sense, like an always running chronograph, and you'll be able to read a little bit more about the performance of this caliber 3620 in-house Zenith movement in the review. But it's interesting because it's meant to be something you look at and sort of say, oh, that's nice. There's no specific utilitarian purpose behind that. It's for fun, it's for animation, and it does a good job. I like the texture on the Defy Skyline, which is sort of this repeating indented star pattern, which again goes with the Zenith logo. Again, it's trying to be something a little bit different, also being on brand. I'm showing you here about the quick release system for the strap works. Let's put on the bracelet here, because I think this is where the watch tends to shine quite well, is on this bracelet, because again, it's comfortable and fun on the strap, but it really starts to be something, I don't want to say wild, but really wow on the bracelet, because again, you really can't get too much for this price point. In steel, this watch is available and of course costs less, but in black ceramic, it has a whole different vibe to it altogether. One of the things I wish they would have done with the dial of the Defy Skyline is take that 12 o'clock hour marker and just make it something different. It's like too symmetrical for me. Make it the Zenith star, something like that. Super legible, but I want that 12 o'clock hour marker to just be a little bit different for me. But in terms of luminant and stuff like that, super easy to read dial. So again, if it's not a sports watch per se, it's a little bit more fragile than that, given the black ceramic bracelet, which again isn't going to like break if you drop it. It's super scratch resistant, but because you have, you know, relatively small pieces of black ceramic that will never bend, there's a hazard of if you drop it on too hard of a surface, if you hit it against a wall or something like that, you could have a shattering situation. And worst case scenario, you got to get some new parts from Zenith. Not the end of the world, but again, people are a little bit more comfortable given the history they've had with metal bracelets. So just something to think about, but again, not the end of the world, and I think it's definitely worth it. It also has a very different feel. Of course, going to be a little bit sharper given this sort of design than metal, just because it's ceramic and it's very hard, but again, very wearable, fun. This is the Zenith Defy Skyline Black Ceramic. You can see the full review on aBlogtoWatch, and the retail price for this is $15,000. Thanks so much.